what we have in North America along the eastern seaboard is around 30 cathode and battery manufacturers planned to come online or by 2028.
Lithium Universe Limited, ASX LU7 on the Australian Stock Exchange, is a lithium industrial company, meaning that they are plans to produce industrial grade lithium carbonate. And with us to talk about that right now is the CEO of Lithium Universe, Alex Hanley. Hello, Alex.
Good, Tim.
It's great to have you on, and a beautiful day and a wonderful future for lithium, I think. And Lithium Universe really is starting off at the downstream end of the whole industrial process with a refinery plant in Quebec. Please tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right, Tim. So just today we've announced the option agreement we've signed with the Société de Bécancour, SPIB, which talks to the acquisition of Lot 22, which is a touch over 270,000 meters squared. Now, this license or this commercial property has the capacity to host multiple refineries for the company. The main objective here is to get a foothold in Lithium Valley. Bécancour, which is now sort of labelled Lithium Valley. We've got POSCO GM just across the road. We've got Nemaska Lithium, and we've got Ford and the SK Pro plant as well. Further towards Montreal, we've got the big Northvolt plant, which has been over the news over the last 6 months. So we're in great territory here in Quebec, and what this does is really sets up the company in a strategic position, placed between the huge hard rock deposits now being discovered in James Bay and over in Ontario, and then the very, very hungry cathode and battery manufacturing facilities on the eastern seaboard of North America.
Well, Lithium Universe is, the people involved in Lithium Universe are no strangers to constructing industrial grade plants, like the previous experience with Jiangsu process, the plant Jiangsu in China, is an obvious example of that. You're creating $1 billion enterprise, plus $1 billion enterprise. So that expertise is still with Lithium Universe. You had such a great diversified skill set inside that team.
Yeah, that's right. And Tim, we sort of made a joke about it earlier, but the Lithium Dream Team, right? We've got Iggy Tan, who led Galaxy within the early days, taking that company and building the assets that are still or now in Arcadium, obviously Mount Cattlin, and as you mentioned, the Jiangsu Lithium Carbonate plant. Also building the plant with Iggy was Dr. Jingwan Liu, who sits on our board, and also John Loxton, head of our refinery, and also Terry Stark, former GM of operations for Galaxy. So we've got good pedigree there in the lithium carbonate space. But Dr. Jingwan Liu, who built the Jiangsu plant, he's still considered to be the downstream expert internationally, and continues to consult to many of the major conglomerates that are operating today. In addition to that, we've obviously got Pat Scallon. Pat Scallon ran Greenbushes, that full value chain for 25 years. So we've got good pedigree, and that's what it all comes down to, Tim, when it comes to building these plants.
I've seen that we're talking downstream capability, and I've seen the photographs that you've published on the processing, the drying of the lithium carbonate. Now, we're talking downstream, but what are the plans for upstream, going back towards the traditional extraction of the lithium from the planet?
Yeah, that's right. So first, the test work. So the test work was completed under the supervision of Dr. Liu. Now, what the objective of this test work was really to understand if the process that we've adopted and released to the market late December, if we can put that across multiple types of spodumene across the world, and that's what we've done. We've grabbed samples from Australia, South America, and very, I suppose, highly impurity-driven spodumene. So not your clean spodumene. We want the dirtiest spodumene to show the market and obviously validate ourselves, with the process that we've adopted. And the first test result, showed that we've got 99.7% lithium carbonate, based on obviously a base battery grade of 99.5%. So that's been a great, I suppose, validation for the company and the process flow sheet that we have. In terms of your second,
I'm sorry, but with a plethora of lithium exploration and mining companies emerging to meet the demand for EV, do you see your downstream processing, your refinery, as being licensable for producers of a concentrate that you can process and then put into the industrial market?
Oh, exactly, Tim. So this is the same sort of model that China's been using for decades now. They are the lithium conversion mecca in the world, producing around processing about 95% of the world's spodumene. And what they tend to act as is what's called a merchant refinery. Then, not typically tied all the way back to a resource, but they have the ability to pick up offtake or go upstream and mine as well. And we have that upstream capability if need be as well. But for us, we see this huge supply in James Bay and all through the Atlantic corridor. We've put ourselves in a very strategic position on the in Quebec, right in the middle of all the action, with all the big players now coming to Quebec and Ontario.
In your view, we have a huge demand. The mandates from the Critical Minerals Act, the mandates from government regarding the production of EVs, and phasing out engines driven by hydrocarbons. Do you think that currently there is the capacity from the lithium carbonate producers to supply the battery material for this huge demand?
Not currently, and probably a question back to you, Tim. But what was the output in 2022 of LCE globally? Do you know that number?
No idea.
It was upwards of 700,000 ton of LCE. Now, keeping that in mind, what we have in North America along the eastern seaboard is around 30 cathode and battery manufacturers planned to come online in by 2028. Now, based on that demand, what we sort of estimated at 900 gigawatts, using the ratios that we know that goes into batteries, we see a demand of around 800,000 ton of LCE needed to service or satisfy that planned demand going into North America. So based on the initial figure of what we saw in 2022, I think 2023 numbers are still coming out. But we're essentially seeing a doubling of the current global supply just to feed that North American value chain. And currently there's no converters in North America to refine that hard rock spodumene into the end product of lithium carbonate. We see 3 or 4 planned, Piedmont and a few others now planning on getting lithium hydroxide plants up, but still not enough. What I would say 1/8 of planned supplies is currently planned to come online for the converters. So that's our mandate at the moment, and that's what we're sort of targeting to exploit.
So in terms of a full production go live for the plant in Quebec, when do you think that may happen?
Well, we're just on the option, Tim. So I'm all for getting ahead of ourselves. But we've got essentially, Iggy built Jiangsu plant with the team in 2 years, right, including 6 months of wet commissioning. So by the time we finish the DFS, which is due out closer to the end of this year, we go through financing and then go through the build. You're looking at about 3 to 3.5 years from today is the best case scenario, and that's as you can see from listing until now. The Lithium Universe team is no fuss, and we're here to get a job done and build this plant. So we're looking forward, and there's no holdups at the moment or roadblocks to say that we can't hit those targets.
Let's return to the value chain for a second again. Downstream's pretty well covered. The plans are in place. The DFS will come, and I'm sure with the expertise that plant will be built. But let's have a look at your value chain and your upstream. What are the plans for the future? While this is ongoing, of course, you're going to be looking at upstream capability and developing that. What are the plans for that?
Yeah, exactly, Tim. So in parallel with all of this work, we've got 2 different business units. One being the DFS. We've got a DFS currently underway with Primero. They're doing a DFS level engineering study for a spodumene concentrator, very similar to the Mount Catlin design that Iggy built back with Galaxy days. And that we have, obviously the experience of Pat Scallon with Greenbushes as well. So in parallel, we're working on that. Similarly, we'll have a DFS level engineering study out by the end of the year. And that sort of feeds into the hub and spoke strategy, right? Which is what we see getting the Quebec or James Bay region up off the ground is something very similar, which was adopted here in the early days of WA. It's a centralized facility with feedstock coming in from different sources and different mines. And with the amount of activity and discoveries currently taking place in James Bay, there needs to be more of a collaborative approach to how that is actually mined from a viability perspective. So we've been talking to a plethora of advanced projects, resource companies with resources within James Bay and a little bit wider, just to understand the reality of that hub and spoke strategy, and also introducing the company to potentially do some JV agreements in the future. So we're shoring up the spodumene, concentrate through a number of different ways, and then business unit number 1 is our ongoing project generation. And Tim, we're sort of casting the net a little bit broader on that one. It's advanced projects again, but more within the Atlantic region rather than solely and wholly within Quebec and Ontario.
Well, North American investors can see you with the ticker code ESMAF. Australian investors with the ticker code LU7 for Lithium Universe. And I've been speaking with the CEO, Alex Hanley. Alex, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Tim. A pleasure.